Aloha faithful. This is breaking news from Niner Island. Today's topic, Raheem Mostert. The facts. Raheem Mostert was on 6 different teams before the 49ers picked him up. He was an undrafted free agent that was originally picked up by the Eagles. We picked him up in 2016. He had 1 carry in the season finale of that season. Now, he was also really one of the best gunners in the league on special teams, and that's what we had him for. In 2017, he got a couple more carries, sparsely in 11 games, and ended the season on injured reserve. 2018, he was used a little bit more, again, ended the season on injured reserve. And then in 2019, despite all that, the Niners signed him to a 3-year extension worth $8.7 million. They saw, what we had in him on special teams, but also they can catch the ball, he can run the ball. He's always had, a good average per touch. So we gave him that contract for the future. And then in 2019, he had a really good season. He didn't start the season off as a starter. Matter of fact, he actually technically was never really the starter during the season. But towards the end of the season, he really was our main running back. He ended the season with 772 rushing yards and 8 TDs, as well as 180 receiving yards and 2 more touchdowns. Now, really what put him on the map was...
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry, brother. Say those stats one more time. Break those last stats down one more time.
In 2019, he had 772 rushing yards and 8 TDs.
Yep.
And he added an additional 180 receiving yards and 2 TDs on top of that. Okay. Again, not starting, but towards the latter half of the year, he really was getting the most of the carries. Then he went off against Green Bay in the playoffs. We all know what happened there. That's, I think, where most people, recognize him from. 220 yards and 4 TDs against the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs. Hell of a game. Now, he also led the league in, yards before touch during the season. We are blocking, one of the best blocking lines with the addition of our tight end and fullback in the league. But he's also, really the perfect, type of running back for our system. Now, this offseason, based on what he did, Raheem Mostert has come out and asked for more money. Now, for me, it's a bit of a catch-22. He's not asking for superstar money. He's not asking for ridiculous money. He wants to be up there with the highest paid running back on our team, which would be Tevin Coleman. So really what he's asking for is about $1.98 million in added guarantees. Bad timing because we need to get Kittle done, and we did just sign him to an extension. But again, a running back's lifespan in the NFL is not for long, and he needs to get his money. But those are the facts. Malik, what's your opinion on this?
I'm torn. I'm all for, especially in football, because it's such, a violent sport. I'm all for brother securing his bag and, making sure that his family's going to be taken care of. But on both sides, organization and the player, there's always an expectation of honoring your contract, And players don't like it when an organization comes to them after a season where they underperformed and the team wants them to restructure. And in this instance, it's the other way, In 2019, he signed a 3-year contract. At that point, being a special teams gladiator.
And injured last 2 years.
And injured, 2 years in a row. That was a good contract, right? And now because he's outperformed that contract, he wants the money. I think my problem is less with the desire to get paid properly for your value, and your effort. I think my issue comes in where now all of a sudden it's a trade demand, right? I think a conversation could be had. And I think with the way that the organization and the front office is handling things right now, first class, I think that they would be willing to, give him a little money to kind of, bridge the gap a little bit, between what Tevin is making and what he's making, just to kind of set him aside, real good right now. focus on Kittle, which is 100% our only focus, as it should be. And then next year, or maybe even in 2022, we can address his contract.
Right.
I think my problem is really with just the, give me this money or I'm out. It sets a bad precedent. Organization giving in, and then just as players, just in general, not honoring the contract that you signed, whether it's on the organization side or whether it's on the player side. I think it's just bad business across the board. I'd like to also kind of dive into his actual value. We've talked about this before. I don't know if he would be as explosive and as productive if he went to another team. He benefited from an amazing line, amazing other weapons, and a genius mind and brain of a coach and scheme. It fit perfectly with his abilities and his skill set. I don't know if he went to another team if he'd be able to be as explosive and have that, yards per touch. I don't know if it would be as robust if he went to another team. So, that's important as well. The running backs, as a position group, they're not as heavily valued as they once were. You're seeing the big contracts, aside from quarterbacks, really kind of go into the defensive side of the ball more often now than running backs specifically. And historically, we've seen when running backs hold out or demand, to rip up the contract and start anew because I had a great season. Melvin Gordon, it didn't really work out for him. Le'Veon Bell, he got a fraction of the money he was trying to get from the Steelers when he sat out an entire season and then got his ass beat up. So
he was carrying the load.
Yeah, running backs aren't carrying the ball 20 to 25, times a game anymore. And for our scheme and what we did last year, we almost epitomized running back by committee last year, because from game to game, Sunday to Sunday, you saw a different feature back, and they all balled out except for Matt Breida. He balled out when he wasn't putting the ball in the carpet. And I'm going to keep going back to that. When the man had the ball in his hands, he was fantastic. Again, benefited from a season. We'll see what he does next year in Miami. So, all that being said, I definitely think that he outplayed his contract. I think there's a time and a place to address it properly.
Right.
He has no leverage, unfortunately. The Niners have got, kind of everything in their court right now, but I think the way they've been handling business, I think they'll try and do everything they can to keep him happy and keep him, in the building. And I hope that he sticks around. I don't know if he's going to make, the difference in this year, just so, anybody who doesn't know, he's slated to make $2.575 this year with $333,000 in prorated bonuses. And then on top of that, an additional $250 if he stays on the roster, right? So it's not, I think his salary hit on the roster is a little over $3 million. Granted, he's not getting what Tevin is getting at 4.5, but I think that the franchise might give him a little something to kind of keep him happy. Hopefully he takes that because he is valued, and I think this is his best situation. I think he could really ball out with us, even with Jet coming in. I definitely it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I'm on both sides. I think he deserves a little bit more. But right now, nothing gets in the way of Kittle getting his money. Sorry.
And if I'm a running back, I want Kittle on the team.
Absolutely. Because part of Kittle's value is run block. Man. So.
No, it's interesting. I think, and if you look at, there's so little leverage, for Mostert, other than I really want to keep saying throw some Mostert on it during the season.
Yeah.
Of course, he can't use that in his contract negotiations. But I think, to your point, I think, keeping everybody together, I can see just for this season, maybe up in that guarantee, but not his overall salary.
Right.
The Shanahan lineage is, this is my system, I'm gonna find a running back to get 1,000 yards. We don't have time to go through all the running backs that have done 1,000 plus under both the Shanahans. They've gone somewhere else and didn't do it. To your point, he's built for this system. He really is good for this system. It's hard, right now with the COVID-19 stuff going on. We don't know if Cap's going to be. We're trying to get back to the Super Bowl, and it's just bad timing, right? We need to get the Kittle deal done. There's people in front of him. We just gave him a contract. To your point, it was the trade demand that really kind of threw this all for a loop. Like, even if I was him, man, play one more year.
Yep.
You're going to get more touches next year, and you can ball out, and then you can get an even bigger contract. The league knows that Shanahan could have anybody running behind his line.
Right.
He does. I don't think he's got the market value he has out there right now.
Agreed.
Right. Now, I'm not saying somebody wouldn't pick him up. Absolutely. But if he played another year and we go back to the Super Bowl and he gets more touches and shows he can stay healthy and all
an
that stuff,
actual 1,000-yard
we
rusher.
may give him a bigger contract. But even if we don't, somebody else will give him a bigger contract. If he bounces now, it's just bad timing. We'll see what happens. I think it's going to work out. I think a little more guaranteed money. So let's do this for another year, but we'll guarantee more of what you're already getting. Hopefully, all sides can come to it and get it done. But what do you think, Joe Boo? Anyways, please like and subscribe for more breaking news from Niner Island, and we'll be back with the next one.